and you're going to see what he does, not in the seconds following Charlie getting shot, but in less than 1 second after Charlie gets shot. These are not seconds, less than 1 second. You're going to watch what Michael McCoy does. First, let's hear his daddy's version of the events. Take it away, Pastor McCoy.
As a father, I want to protect my son. And I thought, I got a plan for you, son. He said, Dad, that's not Charlie's plan. And you know what? I'm looking at my son who's 24 years old. Justin's the CFO, chief financial officer, and Mikey's the chief of staff. And I'm watching, the minute Charlie was shot, he called me, says, Dad, Charlie's been shot in the neck. Please call every pastor and pray.
This Turning Point USA whistleblower finally snapped. And what they exposed wasn't about politics, rich donors, or even Charlie's constant drama with the organization. It was about something way more personal, something they've been trying hard to keep in the dark. Turns out the real secret was about Mikey McCoy, Charlie's 23-year-old chief of staff who was secretly caught up in an affair with another male member from the team. The crew was scrambling, doing everything possible to bury the whole thing before Charlie ever caught wind of it. Once you hear how deep it went, all that lying and fake loyalty from the inside suddenly starts making perfect sense. Mikey wasn't just some regular assistant. He was Charlie's golden boy, his so-called protege, the one always trailing him like a shadow everywhere he went.
Hello everyone, my name is Mikey McCoy. I had the unique honor, blessing, and privilege of a lifetime to not only call Charlie a precious friend, mentor, but to travel with him literally everywhere.
But behind the scenes, people were whispering. They noticed early that Mikey wasn't being treated like any normal staffer. He got those private meetings, behind closed doors access, and untouchable protection. The kind of treatment you only get when someone higher up either wants something from you or needs you to keep something quiet. The whistleblower said this wasn't just a rumor floating around. It was known quietly by the ones handling internal messes. The real problem wasn't that Mikey had a relationship. It was who he was involved with and how explosive it would look if it ever hit the public, while Turning Point was already grooming him as the future of the organization. That's when it started feeling less like chaos and more like a carefully written play, with everyone acting their part to keep the truth buried deep. Once the top dogs at Turning Point realized they needed Mikey looking spotless, clean, perfect, and ready to step up anytime, they went all in on protecting him. And to keep that image locked down, they had to start managing Charlie himself. That's where the whole timeline starts twisting. According to the whistleblower, Charlie had already been pulling back from the organization for months. He was sick of being pushed around by donors, tired of taking orders from people who thought they owned him, and fed up with being told who could share his stage or who he had to cut loose. But what really ticked off the higher-ups was his loud public push to bring Candace Owens back, even after they made it clear they didn't want her anywhere near Turning Point again. That one move alone caused more tension inside the group than any scandal they'd been juggling behind closed doors. But before we get to those wild last 48 hours, there's something even crazier. The video that made millions of people stop, rewind, and replay it again and again. The exact moment Charlie was shot, the crowd's reaction was pure shock, except for Mikey. While everyone else froze, Mikey instantly lifted his phone to his ear, like someone who already knew exactly what was supposed to happen next.
So here it is.
Right-hand guy. And he was at Charlie's right hand
talking
all
about
day
it.
long.
So there it is. So that's his right-hand man, the chief of staff, Mikey McCoy. The bullet rings out. Within a second, he turns around and walks away. Watch. There he goes. There he is, with the phone to his ear the whole way. And so that's what people
Right-hand guy.
So that's what people are talking about.
At first, Turning Point fans tried to brush it off, claiming people were misreading what they saw, but then things got even messier. Mikey's own dad flipped the whole story. He came out saying that he was the one who called Mikey first, changing the entire narrative and making everyone question what really went down that day. The whole cover-up started cracking when Erica went live on TV and completely destroyed Mikey's excuse. She said right there, on air, that Mikey called her just seconds after the shooting. That moment was the first real fracture in their carefully rehearsed story, and it sent shockwaves through everyone involved. Right after that, chaos broke out behind the scenes. The executive producer of Charlie's show insisted that Mikey never made that call, but Erica refused to back down. According to the whistleblower, the Turning Point office turned into a full-blown mess. Nobody could agree on which version they were supposed to stick with. Mikey's nervous, stuttering responses only made it worse, like he was trying to remember which lie matched which story. But here's where things get darker. What if Charlie actually discovered Mikey's biggest secret, and Mikey had to act fast to keep it buried? People started looking at Mikey's so-called tribute to Charlie, and according to the comments, it didn't look like something a heartbroken friend would post. The tone, the wording, everything about it felt off. And then the whispers started resurfacing. The old talk about Mikey's personal life, about how he was rumored to have had a relationship with another male Turning Point member. Someone even dug up old posts from 317 weeks ago showing that Mikey used to go by Michael McCoy, writing things like, "Love you, Queen," before later switching to Mikey McCoy around 240 weeks ago. One of his wife's friends even asked online if Mikey was a stage name, and another person fired back saying, "The Turning Point crew are all extremely feminine." Apparently, this wasn't even unusual. Insiders claim that's how many political circles operate. Right or left? They find someone closeted, overpay him, and keep him on a tight leash for life. Once they own your secrets, they can make you do anything, legal or not. Just look at the way Mikey talks about Erica.
The way she texts to the way she talks. For the first time, I got a little emotional 2 days ago because for the first time when I was talking to her about where the organization's going, how we're going to continue Charlie's legacy, how we're going to really 10x this organization to become what Charlie inevitably wanted it to become. I hearing her thoughts and the way she was talking and breaking things down, I felt like for the first time I was speaking to Charlie for the first time again. And he's ingrained in us.
Everything lines up too perfectly. But that's not the only red flag. According to the whistleblower, this wasn't even the first time Mikey did something that felt totally unnatural or off script. Just 4 days before the shooting during their Korea trip, Mikey suddenly decided to film Charlie walking and talking, but in a totally different style than he ever had before. At first, everyone brushed it off, calling it a sweet little coworker moment. But later, when people looked back, that same exact clip turned out to be one of the videos Turning Point rushed to post right after Charlie's death. Packaged neatly alongside that emotional family footage, Mikey's wife just happened to record during their first ever vacation with the Kirks. Suspicious, right? That trip has now turned into one of the biggest talking points behind closed doors. Insiders say the McCoys were strangely fixated on filming the Kirk family, especially shots of Erica and Charlie together. To be fair, none of this alone proves anything. But when you put all the pieces together, it starts to look way too calculated. And then came the bombshell detail that sent everyone into a frenzy: Erica's travel records. Once those surfaced, people noticed her flight patterns matched 2 specific foreign aircraft: a yellow Egyptian plane and a blue one registered in the same region. And get this, over 70 times. That's not random chance. That's surveillance-level precision. And the most shocking part? The tracking wasn't even centered on Charlie. It was all about Erica. Every solo trip, every place she went with Charlie, every overseas flight, someone was clearly watching her every move, long before the story ever broke. Nobody ever thought anyone outside the circle would catch on. But the wildest part is how fast they started pushing Mikey into the spotlight, like he was meant to become the next Charlie overnight. Out of nowhere, his YouTube channel lit back up. He's doing interviews, speeches, and those perfectly staged photo ops. The more people watched, the clearer it became. None of this looked natural. And right at the center of that entire comeback, his father, Rob McCoy. The man insiders swear has way more power and pull behind the scenes than he ever lets on in public. This wasn't just some grieving family moment or a kid caught in chaos. Mikey was being groomed for something big. Whether it was about control, money, or keeping certain secrets buried deep, nobody's sure yet. But whatever it was, it's clear this whole machine was moving with purpose. The whistleblower dropped one line that still haunts everyone following this story. If that affair ever gets confirmed publicly, every single lie Turning Point told after Charlie's death suddenly makes perfect sense. And when you really think about that, it's chilling. But the creepiest part? The way Turning Point reacts every single time the truth starts getting too close, they go completely silent. No statements, no clarifications, just radio silence. It's like they've decided that saying nothing is safer than getting caught trying to keep their story straight. And that silence, that's exactly what's keeping people digging because everyone can feel it. Something's off. The leaks aren't stopping, and every new piece of info feels like we're just scratching the surface of what really went down behind the scenes. So, if you want the truth to keep coming out, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment. Let's keep this story alive until every hidden detail finally comes to light.